We're going to practice more with double-digit multiplication. So on yesterday's video, we looked at it with place value, with a place value chart, and with the area model. So I'm going to remind you of this. Might look like this, 14 times 20. Double digit means both factors have 2 digits in them, okay? So remember, we can use the associative property and break those up. So this 20 can be 2 times 10. Those are 2 tens. So I can do 2 times 10 times 14, or I can split it around. I can say 10 times 14 times 2, or 2 times 14 times 10. Okay? Which way did we say yesterday was the easiest? Probably that middle one. Now you can do it any way. If it's if one of the other ways is easier to you, then do that for sure. Okay, but I think this is easiest right here. Get a number that I can multiply by 10 and then just double it. All right, so I'm just going to remind you how we did this. So 2 times 10 times 14 on my place value chart, 14 is 1, 10, and 4 ones. If I'm multiplying by 10, that means everything moves to the left. So now I have 104 tens. So it's 140 is what I have, and I have to multiply that by 2. So now I need 2 groups of everything. I don't think my marker's going to plan on working very well. All right. I have 2 hundreds, and then I have to double this. So how many tens do I have? I have 8. And how many ones? Even though you see those there, remember we moved them. So I have 0. So this should be, 14 times 20 should be 280. Okay? Now how do we split that up in the area model? Do you remember how we did that? What are we going to split here? This bigger number. Okay? This is easy. When it ends in a 0, these are easier to work with. I can just break that apart in my head into how many tens there are. I can cover up that 0. So I'm going to break this into a 10 and 4. 10 plus 4 is 14. I'm going to multiply it by 20. Okay? So now, sorry, it looks like I have a little bit of shadow on there from some marker that didn't go away very well. This is a 10. All right? Now I'm going to multiply each part. So I can say 20 times 10. We'll cover up those zeros. Now it's 2 times 1. What's 2 times 1? 2. And put my 2 zeros back on. And then 20 times 4. We'll cover up that 0. What's 2 times 4? 8. And how many zeros go back on? 1. And then I add it together. What's my answer? 280. Just like on the place value chart. All right, so we're going to keep working on that. I want you to get your problem set. It has lesson, I'm looking at it, lesson 36 on one side and lesson 37 on the other. We're going to do this together. Okay, so we're still going to be doing the same thing with the area model, but now we're not going to be working with a number that ends in 0. All right, so let's take a look at this. They give you two rectangles. This one has the grid on it. So if you counted all these, you would have in this rectangle here 4 by 10, and in this one you would have 4 by 2, and down here you'd have 10 by 10, and in this one you'd have 10 by 2. Okay, so let's write down what numbers they're really multiplying. So if you look right here, 10 plus 2 is 12. I hope you're saying these out loud. And 10 plus 4 is 14. So what are we multiplying? 12 times 14 or 14 times 12. It does not matter which way you put it. So write one of those down. All right, so we're going to work right now on using 4 partial products, okay? We broke it up. We have 14 times 12, but right now we're going to start with this. This 4, what place value? Ones. times 2. I want you to put a circle around that. 4 times 2 is what? 8. Write it down. Okay? That's what you did right here. 4 times 2. And then 4 times 10, or 4 times 1, 10. Just cover up that 0. 4 times 1 is 4. Put it underneath. And put your 0 back on. Is 40. Okay? So we just multiplied these two. Circle those two. Okay? It's the same right here. 4 times 1, 10. All right? Now, I just want you to know these circles are what we're doing in our head. You don't always have to circle them, but right now we're just looking at them. All right? So now we've multiplied everything by 4. So what do we have left? A 10. We have to multiply everything by 10. Okay? So 10 times 2 ones. What is that? Right here. 10 times 2 ones. Well, 2 times 1 is 2, and put that 0 back on. So it's 20. And then we have to do 10 times 10. So I know it's messy with these circles. I just want you to see what we're doing. 10 times 10, if I don't know that answer, cover up those zeros. 1 times 1 is 1, and put the 2 zeros on. It's 100. Okay? And then we're going to add those together. So I'll down my ones place, 8 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0. Well, that's 8. 4 plus 2 plus 0, 6. And 1 plus nothing is 1. All right? What we just did is what we're going to show right here is the distributive property. Now, the distributive property is really wordy. I'm going to show you this. It says, this is the bottom one, right here. The sum of 2 numbers times the third number is equal to the sum of each addend. Well, that's pretty wordy. It's pretty hard to wrap around in your head until you look at it with numbers. 4 times 6 plus 3. I could add that together. 6 plus 3 equals 9, and multiply it by 4. That would equal 36. Or I can do 4 times 6 plus 4 times 3. 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12. And when I add them together, that's 36. Either way, I get the same answer. So that's what we're going to do here. 14 times 12. Now we just did it up here. Okay, so you can look at that to help you. We did 4 times 2. Write that in there. And what is 4 times 2? 8. And 4 times 10. Write that in there. What's 4 times 10? 40. Plus 10 times 2. What's that answer? 20. And 10 times 10. What's that answer? 100. These are our partial products. Okay? So I can multiply these big numbers by each other. I can multiply 12 times 14. Or I can break them apart into smaller digits, smaller numbers, and then add them together. Okay, that's all we're doing. We're breaking these numbers apart. Now, I know that sometimes you look at these and you think, that takes a long time, or there's a lot of steps. Well, it's just a lot of steps because we're trying to show you what these numbers are doing. I'll teach you a rule later, probably tomorrow, that will help you do this a little bit faster. But first, I want you to break the numbers apart and really think, what am I doing with these numbers? Because if I teach you a rule and you don't understand what the numbers mean or what each part of the rule is, then you're going to forget it and it's not going to make sense. But if you know how to break these numbers apart, you're going to be able to do some larger double-digit multiplication in your head without needing even to draw this. You might even see it in your head. All right, so let's try again. We'll do this one together. Use this area model to represent the following expression. When they say expression, they're saying a multiplication problem or a multiplication sentence. So what's the expression? right here, say it, 14 times 22. I want you to break that apart on this area model, length times width. Okay, break those apart and then check it with mine quickly. We're just breaking them into smaller numbers that are easier to multiply. You can almost think of it like a place value chart. 1 10 4 ones times 2 10s 2 ones. Okay, so I want you to do those, and we're going to make 4 partial products. So start with this 4 here. What are you going to multiply? 4 ones times 2 ones, that equals 8. Write it down. We're going to put each partial product on a different line. And then we have 4 ones times 20, or 2 10s. Cover up that 0. 4 times 2 is 8. And put that 0 back on, it's 80. Good. Now do this one. 10 times 2, I can cover up that 0 if I need to. 10 times 2 is 20. And then 10 times 20. Cover up those 2 zeros. What's 2 times 1? 2. And how many zeros do we have? 2. Put those on there. So your partial product should look like this. Good. Add those up. All down my ones place is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. Do not forget to carry or regroup. 2 plus 1 is 3. So 14 times 22, or 22 times 14, equals 308. Good. I want you to stop the video and see if anybody has a question. And the sub there can help answer any of those questions. And then we're going to flip the paper over and practice just a little bit more. All right. I hope you got your questions answered. If you didn't, or you got them answered but you don't quite understand, then let's keep practicing. All right. There's 2 problems on here. Okay. These are the 2 sets of the exact same problems. One uses 4 partial products. One uses 2 partial products. They're the same thing. All right, I want you to see that they're the exact same thing. So let's take a look at it using this area model. You're doing 12 times 14. So they broke that apart. What made the 14? Say it out loud. 10 plus 4. What makes the 12? 10 plus 2. So in 4 partial products, we break them down as small as we can. If that makes the most sense to you, then you're going to use that method, that strategy. You won't have to draw this forever, but you'll still be doing it, thinking of that in your head. And as we get to the standard algorithm, I'll show you how that looks on here. Okay, so we're multiplying just like we did before. 4 times 2. 4 ones times 2 ones equals 8. Good. If you're not saying it out loud, make sure you are. Change that now. 4 ones times, what is that? With place value, 110. Okay, so 4 times 1 is 4. How many zeros? 1. Write that on there. All right, now 110 times 2 ones. Cover up your 0 if you need to. 1 times 2 is 2. Put that 0 back on there. Okay, and then 10 times 10. Cover up those zeros. 1 times 1 is 1. Put your 2 zeros back on. I want you to add it up. See if you get the same thing I do. Add quickly. You should get 168. All right, let's look at this one when we do 2 partial products. This time, they only broke apart 1 number. They're going to say, hey, do you know your 12s times tables? Can I tell you a little secret? I don't really know mine. I learned up to 10. I know the trick for 11. And then 12, I just go back to what I know. I break it apart in my head. So if I have to multiply something by 12, I multiply it by 10, I multiply it by 2, and I add those together real quickly in my head. All right, so if you know your 12s, then you might get there a little bit faster than me, but we'll both get there and get the same answer. So I'm going to do 4 ones times 12 ones. It's really times 1, 10, and 2 ones. That's what I'm doing in my head. So if you know your 12 times table or you have a 12 multiplication table, then write it down quickly. Otherwise, watch what I do. I know there's 110. 1 times 4 is 4, but it's a 10, so it's 40. 4 times 110 is 40. 4 times 2 is 8, so it's 48. Look where I got that number. I did this in my head. 4 times 10 is 40. 4 times 2 is 8, 48. Okay, now I'm going to do it again. 10 times 12, except this time I'm going to use the trick I know. Get rid of that 0. So 12 times 1, that's easy, that's 12, plus 0, that's 120. Okay, that's where I got it right here. 20 plus 100 is 120. Add those together super fast. You should get the same thing, which is 168. All right? I want you to take about 2 minutes, pause the video, and I only want you to do this first one. All right? Do that on your own, 2 to 3 minutes, and then play the video again and check yours with mine. All right, let's check it. The bad part for me is that I'm not able, you can hear me, but I'm not able to hear you. So if I make a mistake, hopefully I'll figure it out as we go, but I don't have you to tell me, you made a mistake. So if I make one, then like if there was a mistake and you guys all say that, then don't take my word for it. Go back, check it again, and see, did I mess up? All right, but let's check it real quick. 2 times 3 ones, well, 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 tens, I cover up that 0. 4 times 2 is 8, add the 0 on, okay? 3 tens times 3 ones, cover up the 0. 3 times 3 is 9, with 1 0, that's 90. And then 30 times 40, 3 tens times 4 tens. 3 times 4 is 12, and 2 zeros on it is 1,200. All right, and then when I added it up, I got 1,376. All right, so I want you to pause the video again. This time take just a little bit more time because it might be a little bit harder. If you have to break the number apart, then break it apart. Even though it says 2 partial products, it's okay. If you need to do it into 4, then do it into 4. If it takes you a second, take the extra second. And then push play again and check yours with mine. All right, I didn't add mine yet, but I want to show you something. I don't know my 43 times tables, so I have to use some mental math. 43 times 2, well, 2 times 4 is 8, 2 times 3 is 6, okay? That's how I did it in my head. It's the same thing as these 2 right here. I did it in my head, though. I just didn't write each of them down. Then here, 30 times 43, well, I'm going to get rid of that 0 for right now, okay? Or I could just write it over here because I know I'm going to need it. I said 3 times 4, well, that's 12. And 3 times 3 is 9. So it's 1,290. 1,290 is the same thing over there. So let's see if I got my adding right. 6 plus 0 is 6. 8 plus 9 is 17. Carry that one. 1 plus 2 is 3. And 1 plus nothing is 1. 1,376. I want you to pause the video and see if you have any questions. If you are just saying, I can only do that step by step, then as you do the problem set, which I'm going to go over in just a second, you maybe I'm not, you will be working with the sub to get some help. So pause the video, and I'm going to tell you about the problem set. All right, the problem set, I don't have it in front of me right this minute, so I'm not going to walk across the room to get it. It's in front of you. The sub in the room can pass it out to you. One side has multiplication on it. See, now that I said I wasn't going to do it, now I have to walk across the room. So you're going to have to walk with me. Oh. All right. That's right. Here. Let's freaking make you see it. All right. I can't explain it without you seeing it. All right. It tells you a few different things. So I want you to make sure you're listening. The first one says solve using two partial products. Match each partial product to its rectangle on the area model. So I don't care if you use two partial products or four, but I do want you to show the partial products and show the area model. Just show how you break it up. If you're unsure, look at the paper we just did and do the same thing. Okay, number 4, it says solve the following using two partial products. Visualize the area model to help you. So we're going to get practice in thinking about that area model. All right, what happens if you can't do it with the two partial products? I hope you said, I'll write 4 partial products. That's what you'll do. If the 2 is too hard, like when it was 12 times 4, I broke it into partial products. I just didn't write both of them down. I wrote them all down on one. So I said, well, 4 times 10 is 40. That'd be one partial product. And 2 times 4 is 8. That'd be a second partial product. I just added them in my head. But if I can't add them in my head, then I write them down. And then on the bottom, it's just the problems, and you're going to write them, down or solve them using the method that works best for you. 2 partial products, 4 partial products, or the area model, or use the area model and partial products. That's totally up to you. On the back, there's nothing on my back, but on your back, there should be, by the time you get the paper, you will have a couple of division problems, because I do want you to practice that. We're going to take a show me on Friday, and there's going to be a lot more division than there is multiplication. So I don't want you to work just a multiplication and forget division. So if you have not already, before you start the division, I want you to watch the vocabulary video about division. It's just a quick little wrap. It still uses the same method we do. Does McDonald's serve, we say cheeseburgers, they would have said burgers. Now they don't say it, but they do divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. They skip check, but I would not skip that. Make sure you're always checking, because if you check and that what you have left after subtracting is bigger than your divisor, you know you got it wrong. And if you don't check, you won't know until you finish the problem. Okay, so don't forget the check, but do watch the wrap just to remind you, and then practice with those. All right, by the end of the week, we're going to be done with this unit. We're going to take a show me on it. You're going to show me everything you know, so I know what else you need to work on. But then we're going to move on in Zearn, and I'm going to move your level up. So this week, you have a paper in your take-home folder, hopefully. And it doesn't have Zearn lesson numbers on it. But I do want you to try to finish 3 for the week. We'll see how that goes, especially depending on how long it takes you on Friday with the show me. But try to get 2 done in class today and tomorrow. Use computers if you have computer time, and then use it at home if you need to finish at least 2, but try to get 3 in before I move you up to the next unit. All right, do your best work and ask for lots of help as you need it. Remember that you're just learning how to do this. If you're still needing step by step, that's totally okay. Okay, don't get yourself frustrated about it. Use your multiplication table and then work at it and do your very best.